Thank you, Don. So, like I was saying, man, everything's going all right. You're doing a good job. You're down for your crowd, you know what I'm saying? So don't worry about nothing, man. Everything's gonna be all right, you know what I'm saying? Pac-Man.
Stand up. Just stand up! Put your hands behind your head. Where your friends going, dealer man? You using 10-year-olds to carry your dope now? Who's this, you a brain surgeon? Dr. Feelgood? Look at this shit.
Where'd you get this, T?
My auntie. See, man, I'm just kicking it here, man. I'm just chilling out, man. What Pac-Man on me for?
Keep your hands behind your head and turn around. Who do you call when that little beep of yours goes off? Who's a nice man who calls you? Huh? Who's your connection? High top? What are you looking at, huh? Don't you ever give me no hard looks, cuz.
Come on.
Hey,
Just for that, you're going to jail, Holmes.
going to jail? Man, I ain't did nothing.
Become a professional asshole.
So, man, these handcuffs is too tight.
Yeah, well, they're not built for comfort, pal.
So, man, you ain't got nothing on me.
I got handcuffs on.
Hey, man, you ain't got the plan. Say, man. Shit. So, man, you ain't got shit on me. Shut up. Yeah, all right. So, man, I'll be out this motherfucker, man. All that old punk shit you doing, that ain't nothing. That ain't shit. So, man, a fucking parole violation, man, I'll be out this motherfucking 6 months, man. So, man, these handcuffs are too tight, man.
Hey, let me do a little tap dance on your head. Shut up.
Fucking got it. I'm T. Rodgers, Executive Vice President, National Spokesperson for the American Program. What happened was, check this out. Our program has been in effect for 3.5 years. And our program deals with certain components. One of the components that we deal with is peace. Jim's house is a half an hour ride from any neighborhood, okay? Coming up that hill, man, you listen to the right music, you calm down, this is neutral ground, nobody's turf is up here. You know what I'm saying? So when you come up here, you got a different mindset. That's one of the reasons. We worked on that. We had 28 different gang sets that is affiliated with the program. And then we said, well, now we've done it this far, what can we do? One of the brothers from our program said, well, look, we got 4 of the major housing projects in Watts, and we got them together, 4 of the most notorious housing projects in Watts together. That would be a hell of a start. That was his assignment that he took on. That was his project. This was long before the uprising or the rebellion or even the riot.
What I'm asking you, apparently there's a pretty widespread general peace going on. What caused that?
Here we go again. We'll start at the beginning. One of the things, see, there's no rehabilitation in incarceration. And one of the things that we learned by being locked up is that we got to stick together. When a race war or a race riot goes down inside those correctional institutions, that's a laugh. That everything that is not black goes against black. So the brothers have learned to stick together. That is a temporary truce, a temporary peace between those warring gangs. That was one of the things that happened out in the streets, because it happened in the pen, it can happen in the streets. Now, long before the King incident, Latasha Harlins, see, you have to deal with a 2-tier system of haves and have-nots. When we can't stand up, just stand up. When we stand up, we get questioned. What are we doing? What are you standing up for? That's a doggone shame in America.
ask Batman here. What are the difficulties going to be in making this thing last? He called it a temporary peace. Is it temporary? Do you think it's going to be
No, you
sustained?
misunderstood what I said. I said inside the jailhouse, it's a temporary peace.
Okay, well, let's talk about the
Now,
peace.
out on the streets, it will last as long as those brothers. Now, let me do this, man. First and foremost, we look at it differently. It is not a truce or a peace treaty. It is a bonding of black men who have stood up and came together. And when they came together, peace has happened to be one of the things on the agenda. See, we have been conditioned and trained to dislike another brother. You understand what I'm saying? Because of the color that he wears or where he lives. 20-something odd years of conditioning has taught us that. If you ask some of them young brothers that's very active in gangbanging, you ask them, why don't you like a Crip? Or why don't you like a Blood? His answer will be this. Oh, he sounds like Scooby-Doo. So when you start to ask some of the OGs what happened back in the days, they know the answers. Now, I'll give you this also. When the pleas went out from what was supposed to have been the black leaders in the community, i.e. the churches, the politicians, and all of those people, nobody stopped to listen to them. They are not our leaders. The leadership comes from the grassroots and the OGs. So when the OGs say, hey, look, this has got to stop, then the younger homeboys respect the OGs and they say, okay.
So long, man. Have a good trip.
Today, motherfucker! Today, motherfucker!
For most of the guys, killings got to be accepted. Murder was the only way that everybody stayed in line. You got out of line, you got whacked. Everybody knew the rules.
Nigga, get ready, cause you can't hang with the psycho motherfucker who's slanging these gangster things. Lock your doors, running high. Can't nothing save you when the W who rise peak. I'm putting suckers to sleep, ready to make a motherfucking hit. Jerry rolling too deep. You shouldn't have made that tape, but you pushed me. 8 hates, punk ass, perm wearing pussies. You're ready for round one. Here it come, fool. I got my dick in my hand, come and get some. Damn, I'm tired of fake motherfuckers getting pesos. Sorry ass amigos, screaming like bitch hoes. If it wasn't for your happy ass sound, prancing around, nothing but a sorry ass clown. Stay the fuck down. Punk, you can't fuck with this. Shit, first step is your death wish. Cheer. Come on, y'all. I guess it's time to get to the good part. So you know it's the part when the eight start with the routine. It's the same song, peel another cap. Now what's going on? Yeah, tickety tock, you don't stop. Fool, you hear a click, I bust your chop. Why? No future in your front and smoke your ass like a motherfucking blunt. Damn, I hate you, punk, cause you're never equal. This motherfucking sequel. Tell me, can you fade that black? Or get slung like a fucking 50 pack? So it's the second call to all sorry. Punk motherfuckers that's out like a Tory. Yeah, nigga, you can get the fist. One more death wish.
But sometimes even the people who didn't get out of line, they got whacked. It just became a habit for some of the guys. Shooting people was a normal thing. No big deal.
Last verse, don't curse, nigga, fuck that. Mike's got the gap, and I'm ready to bust a head or 2 or 3. Bitch, come deal with it, yeah. So gang wait as I punk another sucker, and I'm swift as they scared stiff by a psycho motherfucker. I see the pain, fool, take 2 to the fucking jaw. Yeah, fuck you, a nigga from the city where shit just don't motherfucking quit. And jacking's my specialty, G. Quick, fast, and Mac once and take your money, yeah. And down for the motherfucking crew. Just like a bitch, I got to get paid too. I knock you out, and when your punk ass come to, you realize it was a nightmare of death wish too. Cheer. Cheer. Compton.
Hits just became a habit for some of the guys. Shooting people was a normal thing.
What up?
No big deal. Murder was the only way that everybody stayed in line. You got out of line, you got whacked. Everybody knew the rules.
The White House is a long way from the front lines in the war on drugs. But last night in Los Angeles, former First Lady Nancy Reagan got an up-close look at the battlefield. Sylvia Lopez of KCBS TV has that story.
Clad in blue jeans, tennis shoes, and a raid jacket with her name on it, Nancy Reagan first watched undercover police make street buys from inside a motorhome, then followed as they busted 14 occupants of this home.
What a waste. What a wasted life. Lives for all of them. You wish that somehow somebody could have gotten a hold of them sooner.
The invitation to come along on the raid in gang-ridden South Central Los Angeles came from Police Chief Daryl Gates, who was considering a run for governor of California.
She not only wanted to do it, then we got her down here, and she wanted to be right out in the forefront of all of this.
For all the work she's done to fight drugs and her Just Say No campaign, Mrs. Reagan says she's never been to a rock house before, and her first experience was an eye-opener.
Got some syringes here, somebody paired.
And she had questions about everything, including a blood-soaked cotton ball on the floor. The former First Lady says she'll take what she's seen in the trenches into her war on drugs in the classroom.
I'll try the next time I see young children who are teetering to tell them about this. This is not where they want their lives to end.
In Los Angeles, Sylvia Lopez for CBS News.
Kathleen?
This is Ken Kashiwahara. A typical scene in South Central Los Angeles last night. A man shot, another pistol whipped, believed to be gang-related. Gang violence is increasing every year. For 1989, law enforcement officials estimate 3 people will be killed every 2 days. The primary reason, drugs. In Los Angeles County, the statistics are staggering. 1 drug arrest every 6 minutes, $20,000 worth of cocaine seized every hour. Los Angeles is rapidly replacing Miami as the country's cocaine distribution center, and that's the other part of the problem. Many of the LA gangs have become entrepreneurs, importing cocaine from South America and exporting it to every major city in the country. They started in the West. Crack houses raided in Las Vegas, Portland, Phoenix, and other cities. Today, one LA gang has become the major supplier of crack cocaine in Washington, D.C. It is a criminal justice system like most others in the country. Overcrowded jails, an overburdened court system, and a frustrated police force.
Our criminal justice system is almost shutting down at this point.
The reason is this. Los Angeles County jails were designed to hold 13,000 prisoners, but more crime and tougher laws have packed them with twice that number. So except for the most dangerous and violent criminals, those arrested today probably will be back on the streets tomorrow.
We arrested 65,000 people for narcotics offenses last year. We arrested over 20,000 gang members. Now, why should I have to do that over and over again?
The Los Angeles County court system is backed up too. In the last 4 years, the number of felony cases has nearly doubled. Judges are saddled with an average 1,000 cases each and are forced to accept deals with some criminals just to keep the system moving.
The message that goes out is that you can do things that are against the law and not suffer any real consequence as a result of that.
The problem is money. County and state budgets have not grown to meet the need for more jails and more judges. Lawmakers want to be tough on crime but are unwilling to raise taxes. County officials applaud the president's commitment to increase federal prison space, but point out that the number of federal crimes is minuscule compared to the ones committed locally. And until the problem is solved on the local level, they say, the criminal justice system will continue to be in a crisis. Ken Kashiwahara, ABC News, Los Angeles. This weekend in Los Angeles, 8 people killed, 4 seriously wounded, half of them in gang-related violence. Everything from turf battles to drug deals gone bad. A normal weekend. Statistics treated like a box score. A week ago, the gangland carnage claimed 12 victims. Another normal weekend. The gang's body count continues at an even higher rate than last year, but except in the ghetto itself, the killings now produce few headlines and no outrage.
I think the community, the general population, has come to expect it. And in the worst case, they think that we'll let them kill each other.
Last year, it was different. The gangs had done the unthinkable, dared to venture into the backyard of the general population, killing a woman in the affluent, mostly white community of Westwood. The result, police conducted massive sweeps. Thousands of suspected gang members were arrested and their crack cocaine confiscated. It became one of the biggest news stories of the year, receiving national attention.
The media really dramatized the killing of the young lady in Westwood, and they should have. And then on the other hand, when you have these killings day by day in South Central, well, it's a way of life and it's not newsworthy.
1988 became the year Los Angeles vowed to reclaim its streets, but the year ended with another record, 452 gang-related killings. Not that the war against gang violence ended.
Put your hands on your head. Step to the wall. Step to the wall. Get down on your knees when you get to the wall.
Police are now confiscating the car of anyone caught buying even the smallest amount of drugs, trying to dry up the money gangs use to buy their guns. And using a new law, they have arrested the mother of a suspected gang member and charged her with failing to control her son. Ghetto-based groups are quietly waging their own war, setting up street patrols, attempting to convince young people to sign up for jobs instead of gang membership. Volunteers are removing gang graffiti, and social workers are trying to get to kids at an early age.
There's so many other things to do in this world besides joining a gang, and they are called alternatives.
But these are only partial solutions. Social workers and the police believe the problem won't go away until the community provides more jails, more jobs, more money to eliminate the social and economic conditions that create gangs in the first place.
The solutions are lie in everyone becoming so outraged over this that they become involved, that they say we're not going to tolerate it any longer.
But as one community activist put it, that probably won't happen until the general population feels threatened again, until they find gang violence in their backyard again. Ken Kashiwahara, ABC News, Los Angeles.
This is the CBS Evening News. Bob Schieffer reporting. Good evening. Theater owners in several cities today canceled showings of the inner-city drama Boys in the Hood after a bizarre spasm of violence during last night's debut of the movie left one person dead and at least 23 wounded in cities across the country. The death was reported at an Illinois drive-in, but some of the worst incidents were in California. Richard Roth has our report.
The film opened in more than 800 theaters across the country, and violence broke out in at least 8 states. At a Los Angeles movie mall, gunfire began just as the lights went out, inside a theater and on a street outside. Moviegoers heard it in the parking lot and tried to leave.
We were stuck in there, and the people who were shooting the guns were on foot, and they wouldn't let us out. And the only reason they let us out was because we started beeping the horns.
It was pandemonium, a woman said, even though sheriff's deputies had been there from the beginning, worried it would be a violent night.
Well, we know that one person was shot in the buttocks, one person was shot, received a gunshot wound to the knee, and the third person was shot in an ankle.
In all, at least 6 people were injured by gunfire in Southern California. Others hurt when knives or guns were drawn in suburban New York and Ohio, Minnesota, Texas, Wisconsin, and Massachusetts. In Illinois, a man was killed. However, Columbia Pictures today said just a handful of theaters had canceled showings of the movie. The company said it would pay for extra security if theater owners requested it.
This is Los Angeles, gang capital of the nation.
Critics had praised Boys in the Hood about growing up in a gang-ridden neighborhood of Los Angeles. They called the movie anti-violent, but some pointed out ads for the film didn't make it seem that way. Today, director John Singleton said it wasn't his movie that caused last night's trouble.
I mean, what happened last night was more of an indication of the degeneration of American society than a reflection upon my film.
Still, it was the second time this year that violence accompanied the opening of a major motion picture. In March, the movie was New Jack City, and some theatergoers today were thinking about that.
It sort of makes me a little weary, to go to the theater.
And that's a big worry for an industry built on the premise that entertainment, even based on harsh reality, is supposed to be a safe diversion. Richard Roth, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Secretary of State Baker and Soviet...
Our film critic Gene Siskel joins us from WBBM-TV in Chicago to review a couple of new films out, the new Harrison Ford movie regarding Henry, and the work of a brand new director, John Singleton, a movie called Boys in the Hood. Good morning, Gene.
Good morning, Paula. I like one out of the two, and it isn't regarding Henry. That's the story of Harrison Ford playing a tough lawyer, yuppie lawyer, no human values in him seemingly. Then he takes a bullet in the head and is reduced to an infant-like state. Life starts over and he's a nice guy. And that's the whole movie. In other words, it's a story of two completely different people, one not so nice, one nice. And the nice guy is a bore as he tries to relate to his daughter, who he barely knows when he comes back as a kid.
You look good, Mr. Henry. Real good. Your face and everything.
Thanks. Oh, eggs, no, I don't like eggs.
What?
Eggs are your favorite.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a lot of eggs.
This is wonderful. All of us together again.
We never used to eat breakfast together.
Well, I always wished we had.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I do that all the time.
You do?
Yeah. See?
This is a very soft project by director Mike Nichols. No edge to this story. Basically, the film is saying, take time to hug your wife, hug your kid. Don't let it take a bullet to make that happen to you. Nice sentiment, maybe suitable for a TV movie of the week. Actually, I think TV movies of the week have gotten better. I've been saying that line too long. Now here we step up in class, though, for our next film, Boys in the Hood. This is the film that you've heard a lot about in terms of gang violence, but that really has very little to do with the film. This is a film that is saying that, yes, there are the lure of gangs out in South Central Los Angeles. We follow three young men as they dabble close to that life. The critical factor in their lives, however, is parental influence. One of the boys has a very strong father. Two of the boys, who are half-brothers, have an absent father and a mother who is more interested in the one kid who may go off to college on a football scholarship than she is with her other son, who is dabbling in drugs and liquor. And here we see the three boys in conflict.
What's your problem, man? Y'all are brothers. You ain't supposed to be fighting each other. For the punk. Come on, Trey, let him fight. Get him. Mama's boy. Get him, Joe. Sam. Get him, Joe. Hey. Joe. Let him fight. Joe.
Brenda, Ricky and Joe brought out your fight. Hey.
Get him, Joe. Get him.
Cut that out. Get off of it. Get off of it.
What you hit me for?
You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. What you hit me for?
Ricky? Ricky, baby, your test scores?
And there you see three different paths that these kids will take. It is a rare film these days, black, white, or otherwise, that comes out so strongly in favor of a parent's influence on children. That's the positive aspect of this movie. A most memorable film, shot, as I guess everyone knows by now, by a 23-year-old director from USC Film School, John Singleton. He incidentally was the postman in that brief scene we saw. This is one of the year's best films, and it's a shame that this picture may get tarred with the label of inciting gangs to riot. It is a superior film, and frankly, if gang members saw it, it wouldn't be the worst thing in their lives.
But Gene, what about the whole issue of violence? Because we heard the weekend's news just filled with reports about violence springing up wherever this film was shown. Who do you blame?
Well, I blame all the kids who perpetrated it. They have to stand way out ahead in the list of blame. There is another factor, secondary or maybe tertiary factor, that is the ad campaign for this picture certainly put those helped put those gang bodies in the seats by focusing, I think, more on the gang violence elements in the film than in its positive messages.
All right, thanks a lot, Gene. Nice tie, by the way. I can't take my eyes off it.
Okay.
We're going to be back right after this.
This morning's Gene Siskel segment was sponsored by Mr. Goodwrench and your participating GM dealers, keeping quality on the road.
This weekend at several movie theaters across the country in connection with a film that has an anti-violence message. One person was killed and at least 30 others injured at the screenings of Boys in the Hood. Several theaters stopped showing the movie following the rash of shootings and stabbings. Boys in the Hood depicts the troubles of growing up in an impoverished neighborhood in South Central Los Angeles.
In a related development that seems all but unbelievable at first glance, it became known today that one of the policemen acquitted in the Rodney King beating that set off the riot is now circulating a proposed book manuscript in which he relates the high he experienced after using force, and he says he became something of a legend in the department after he kicked a Latino in the groin. Bill Lagatuda now with our report on that.
As he left the courthouse acquitted of the King beating, Sergeant Stacy Kuhn was not a popular man. And today, in what many see as a stunning example of poor judgment, Kuhn has gone on record about King and his life in the LAPD.
And it was a way for me to vent and to let off steam.
In a manuscript he hopes will become a movie, Kuhn repeatedly uses racial terms, yet claims he is not a racist. In excerpts published in the LA Times today, Kuhn refers to Rodney King as Mandingo, a slave term. He calls the man who shot the video, George Halliday, George of the Jungle, and says his fellow officers began to joke and laugh after King was finally subdued and that they were on a high.
You have to be able to rationalize this violence that you've used. And the way you do that is to dehumanize the individual.
Well, I think he's an embarrassment to the LAPD and to all right-thinking people. And for a man who may be facing additional criminal charges, I don't think it's the wisest thing in the world to go around alienating large segments of the community.
In his writing, Kuhn described shooting a black man once and hearing his fellow officers wonder if he'd die. Not a Negro, they then joked. They're too dumb to go into shock. Kuhn wrote that such talk is gallows humor, a way of relieving stress on a tough job. Today, some LAPD officers agreed.
I know him and I've seen him in action, and I know he's not a racist.
But others seemed embarrassed.
If that's the way he feels, that's the way he feels. I know most of us don't talk like that.
He's not speaking for me.
And in South Central LA today, where warring gangs held a unity picnic, Kuhn's words seemed only to inflame tensions.
Saying little sly remarks like that is nothing but proving your ignorance and proving your fear.
I'm not a racist.
Kuhn's comments couldn't have come at a more inappropriate time for a city wondering if it will ever be at peace with its police force, and for Kuhn, who faces charges of violating Rodney King's civil rights. In court, his words may come back to haunt him. Bill Lagatuda, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And
Good evening. Dan Rather reporting. An organized movement for change may be emerging from the civil unrest in Los Angeles. The questions now are, will the change actually occur, and if so, will it result in less violence or just make the violence go in different directions? The city's two main warring gangs talked today about making peace with each other and fighting instead side by side. Ron Allen reports.
The Rodney King verdict and the riots that followed brought some of LA's most powerful gang members together to talk peace. They represent some of the 100,000 young people, Crips and Bloods, deeply involved in the drug trade and locked in an urban gang war that claims hundreds of lives every year, including innocents. A war which no one imagined could end, and then another surprise today, a truce, something else no one could imagine.
If it don't happen now, it ain't gonna never happen.
In the middle of the flames and smoke, the handwriting was on the walls, gang graffiti, with a message never seen before, a plea, a call for unity against a common enemy.
The rise helped because we realized that we now have a common enemy. For those brothers and sisters that were into it, right, that were into the gang conflicts and couldn't see a common enemy, now do.
Lou Monster, a Crip leader, says he was there when the corner of Florence and Normandy erupted in anger and ignited a riot. He says that event also ignited a movement.
I mean, what's it about? What's the goal? What's the mission? Empowering our community. That's what it's all about. Some people think it's about violence. No, it's not about violence. There's been a lot of talk about trying to get some cops. You know what? Whenever black folks get together, it's always something violent. Hey, fellas, hold up a minute. Come over here. Grab some hood for me, all right?
Police have heard the talk of a truce, and they've heard police are a target too. And so they're on the streets trying to figure out what's going on.
A lot of them still have that hatred for law enforcement right now. They feel a lot of the people are seeing it
like us against them.
So is this truce the start of a street-level political movement of well-armed, well-organized gang members who have influence well beyond Southern California? Or will a fragile peace rooted in rage that some have spent years trying to forge fall apart?
The King verdict laid down a revolution in the streets. Okay, the revolution is not over. The revolution won't be over until we get a reformation of the American government. Break it up, break it down, and do it right.
It's a possibility no one can ignore. Ron Allen, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Tales of a variety of good guys have helped make Denzel Washington one of Hollywood's heroic leading men. But his newest film casts him in a much more ominous light. In Training Day, Denzel plays Detective Sergeant Alonzo Harris, a gritty, undercover narcotics cop who blurs the lines of legality and morality.
Days of Training Day, Officer Hoyt. Show you around, give you a taste of the business, you know? I got 38 cases pending trial, 63 in active investigation, another 250 on the log I can't clear. I supervise 5 officers, that's 5 different personalities, 5 sets of problems. You could be number 6 if you act right. But I ain't holding no hands, you understand? I ain't babysitting. You got today, and today only, to show me who and what you're made of. You don't like narcotics, go back to the office, get a nice desk job, you know? Chasing bad checks or something, you hear me? I hear you. Okay.
Denzel, how you doing?
Very good.
Huh?
Good.
You like Alonzo Harris?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing the bad guy, yeah, definitely.
Jerry Silver, who produced this movie, said it was a movie about choices. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, for me, it was just a lark, just fun. I mean, people were asking me, did you do a lot of research and da-da-da-da? I said, no. I just went for it. I said, there's no point in doing any research. I hope there's no cop like this. If there was one, I would assume they wouldn't talk to me about the things that I do or the things that they've done. So, you know.
But that isn't to say that you guys didn't spend a lot of time down there with real gangbangers and real drug dealers and real cops.
Right, right. Well, actually, part of the film we shot in what they call a jungle, which is kind of, well, the street we were on was controlled by Bloods. We also shot in Imperial Courts, which is controlled by Crips. So, yeah, we met quite a few of the guys, and they're in the picture. And Antoine Fuqua, the director, wanted to use the real people in the real community, not just gangbangers, but the people in the neighborhood. So 99.9% of them are just hardworking folks, you know.
Yeah.
And you got other people doing other things.
Let's talk about Alonzo. I read that you didn't see him as a bad guy. True?
I don't think, you know, I think everyone, or at least for an actor, you have to learn to love the character that you're playing. I mean, he was doing a lot of good, you know. He was blocking up a lot of people, but he, by degrees, got further and further, sunk further and further, and, you know, there was no way out for him.
Yeah. Did you stay in character?
What do you mean?
During the shooting of it.
Well, you know, our world is...
I'll tell you why I asked that.
Yeah, I can feel something coming.
I heard that you were wearing your colors throughout, stayed in your leather jacket and your chains.
Yeah, I had my chains and stuff. Not at home, but, you know, at the end of the day, I take my little platinum stuff off, fake platinum stuff off.
You did? You would take it off?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. My wife wouldn't have that.
You didn't bring it home to Paulette? She didn't say, hey, wait a minute, what is this? She didn't like this character.
Well, you know, I've done a couple of characters she didn't like, and I probably bring some of it home, but, you know, the end of the day, for me, is the end of the day.
Yeah. Where do you go in yourself to find the kind of aggressiveness that you have to bring to a
role like this?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an actor, you know. I think I've made 30 pictures now, and this one was so different, and you know, I really got it, like in one of those scenes in the end when I really go off on everybody in the neighborhood. I just got it from the people. Like a lot of the things I say in the film, I actually asked the guys about, and talking about shoe program, 23-hour lockdown. You know, I just get it. I just been blessed that way, you know. I don't know. I just draw it from some reservoir.
You were able to just do it and just leave it?
Hit it and go.
Was it a rough shoot for you physically, in light of where
sitting in that car 28 days straight?
I was going to say
we shot 28 days, I think it was, in that car. Pain, oh, that was terrible.
You and Ethan had rawhide butts by the time this was done.
Man, what did he say? Crouching hoe, hidden pimp.
Is that what it felt like?
That's what it felt like.
You know, everybody comes away from a movie and they always say, "Oh, me and my co-star got along so well. We loved each other, et cetera, et cetera." But in this case, you and Ethan really did have to get along real well in order to make it work.
Aside from being a wonderful actor, he's a wonderful human being, a really nice guy, and you know, that is cliche to say, but it's true. I don't know how he felt about me, but I got along with him.
You ever spent so much time with one actor on a movie?
Not next to one actor, you know, just sitting there. No, Actually, probably no, because we're together the whole flick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You guys. I mean, you are constantly on the
Yeah.
screen. I mean,
Which is why
I
it was
can't think of
important.
another film that you had to carry as much. Not even probably Malcolm X.
I don't know. Well, Malcolm X. Yeah, well, yeah, the little Shorty was around with me
Right,
as Mike.
right. And there were some other things going on,
Yeah, true.
historical references.
True.
But in this film, it's
Yeah.
you all the time.
Yeah.
You've heard the talk. Everybody has. That this one gets you, what's this, your 5th Oscar nomination?
Well, time will tell.
What do you think?
Do I think it'll get me a nomination?
Yeah.
You know, the thing for me now, Brian, is just to do good work. You know, I just, work as hard as I can, and people pay their hard-earned money to watch us, to watch me. So I just try to give the public, a good job. What results from that, I can't call it.
Do you rate your work? Do you sit there when you finish Remember the Titans and say, oh, that was better than Hurricane, but not as good as Malcolm? And when you finish this, do you say, oh, that was better than...
I like this picture, though. I don't. Maybe because I'm moving into directing, I've watched this film maybe 30, 40 times. I've never done that before. Never. I've probably seen Malcolm X. I don't even think I've seen it twice.
Yeah.
Or Hurricane. But this one I've been watching the editing and just looking at it, from a different angle now.
Alonso scared the hell out of you, too?
No, I like the guy. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy.
You mentioned you're directing. You're going to leave here and you start directing next week.
Yeah. This week, Wednesday.
This week, I'm sorry, Finding Fish. Nervous?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm prepared, though. I'm a little nervous. I mean, it's new territory. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Denzel, it's good seeing you.
My pleasure.
All right, stay well, will you?
All right.
All right, babe. We're going to come on back in just a moment. We'll take a break right here. You're watching The Early Show on CBS.